This empty chair represents the addict who died today, not knowing recovery was possible.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of The Empty Chair, Exposing Addiction. As you know, we've been doing this for, I think over 2 years now, and we tried to have a real variety of guests. And tonight we put kind of another little spin on it. We have someone who's a recovering addict and someone who has helped her through the legal system, and I think has developed more than just a lawyer, but I think quite a bond that they have together. Before Colleen introduces our guests, I do like to remind you all the time that we are on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and search The Empty Chair Show, I think we have 20, 22 episodes on there. You can get caught up, go back to where we first started, and you can get a good education of what's going on and what we've been doing since we've been doing this show. So with that, I'll let Colleen introduce our guests.
Hi, my name's Colleen. I'm an addict in recovery, and I love doing this show, and I'm very grateful that we have this show. It's very important. We're raising awareness. We've had all kinds of guests on here, like political, treatment, law enforcement, a lot of addict stories. And it's important to raise awareness so the stigma of being an addict, addiction is smashed. The more people know about it, the more aware they are, the more help that we can get for this. So our guests tonight are my very good friend, Nikki Noltame, and attorney Carrie Lilly. And I don't know, I guess the first question I want to ask you guys is just because you obviously do have like a little, like a good bond, and that's great. So how did your relationship start? How did you start working together? How did you meet each other? Where did it all begin?
You go.
All right. Obviously, I'm an addict, so I was using and I was incarcerated. And I had an attorney from Carrie's office, the public defender's office, see me in jail at MCI Framingham, and they brought Julie Nason, who works in their office and is a social worker, to help me get into some kind of treatment. And that attorney worked out a deal, I guess, for me to be a participant in drug court. And then the day that I was released, because attorney Carrie Lilly works in drug court, the day I was released, I was appointed to her. And, it's been an ongoing relationship. She's worked very hard for me with some things. Drug court's not easy. Neither is recovery. I've had some tough times, and in the past, I probably wouldn't have hung on. And she was very supportive of me, and I experienced something difficult, and she believed in me, and that made a big difference. And from that point forward, she worked. I mean, I can't even tell you, she's worked very hard for me, and particularly with the encouragement of staying clean and hanging on, and that's very important in recovery. And I've never experienced an attorney do that for me,
right.
And her experience in drug court is, she knows what she's doing. She's familiar with addiction, what it does, no judgment, and she's great, man. She's just, I'm honestly, I feel blessed that I got her for an attorney. Not just an attorney, she's a human being as
you feel
well.
like you can trust her.
Yeah.
Well, let me just go back. How long do you have in clean time, and how long ago did your journey start with Carrie?
I have a little over 7 months. On September 7th, I got 7 months. And it's been quite a while since I've been able to do that. And Carrie, I came into drug court around April. I think it was in April.
Okay.
And from that point forward, here we sit.
So what does drug court entail? How many times do you have to go? Just a little bit of background on drug court. Do you have to go every day, or how often do you guys meet or get to see each other?
Well, drug court is, and I know you've had Judge Brooks and Danielle Murray, the probation officer from drug court. Basically, Nicole has to comply with a whole series of scheduled events and reporting at the Office of Community Corrections. And there's a whole series of requirements she has to comply with. Drug court meets once a week on Wednesday afternoons. We have different phases. Nicole's in phase 1, so she has to be there every Wednesday. We keep in touch via text. She lets me know what's up, how it's going. And we do see each other at drug court when there's the meeting of the group before we actually go into court. There's a report on how everybody's doing, and I'll comment, or they'll tell me how she's doing, and you know, we have that team, that group discussion. And thus far, in the beginning, there was a lot of adversarial conversations about Nicole, because I was her attorney, and that's my job. My job is to defend her interest, and help her do what she wants to do. It's not what I want to do. She's the client. She directs what's going on. And even if she had made bad choices, and she still wanted me to do X, Y, or Z, it doesn't matter if I think it's wrong. It's up to her. So it wasn't just me, it was her. She wanted to do the right thing, and I was able to help her do the right thing. So it originates with the person, and I'm just glad I can help. That I was there.
I'm a little curious now. Obviously, she's not, I mean, you do have a connection with drug court, so obviously you have probably numerous people that you, what I guess what I'm getting at is, I mean, you're a lawyer, you know, you can pretty much go any field you want. What kind of swayed you over to, you know, dealing with people who have an addiction problem?
I think, to me, the most important thing in the world is to be somewhere and help the little guy. People who are addicted, especially younger people, they're in a horrible place. It's very hard for them, and you have this big, gigantic system of law enforcement and prosecution just rolling down the road like a massive train, and it just hits these poor people. They're so sad. They're not evil. They're addicts. They're in a bad place, and they've been completely taken over by these horrible drugs, right? But inside there's a human being. So I'm like their last bastion, their last stand, you know, before they get rolled into the justice system. And if I can make a difference, I can't help everybody. Not everybody makes the right choices. I can offer help. I have helped people. Not a ton, because not everybody wants the help. But I've had a few successes, and it makes my life. It makes my life. I got to be out there doing something meaningful. I have some personal experience and some knowledge of addiction, having grown up in Bogota, Colombia, in South America. I'm familiar with with things that other people aren't. So I know, and I'm a lawyer, I'm not a social worker, but I know how important it is just to say, I believe you. Well, the difference it can make for an addict, a person who is vulnerable, a person who is struggling so hard to make the first step or keep that one step after another in the early recovery, or even later, you know.
So you must find it really frustrating, with both of you. You know, in addicts, someone caught up in active addiction, they keep making the wrong choices. They're not a bad person, they're a sick person. And it's like, you know, punishment, like jail time, all this stuff. And it's like treatment, you know, prevention obviously would be like the ideal thing, so it doesn't even go that far. But then treatment, you know, works, I would think, better than, you know, just punishing over and over again, because you know, you come out, if you don't get any treatment, if there's no place for you to go, you're going to keep repeating that same stuff, because the disease is progressive. Like, it keeps getting, you know, worse. Even, you know, if you're incarcerated and the drugs are out of your system for a while, disease keeps progressing. So if you come out and there's no treatment, you mess up again, and it's just like that vicious cycle over and over again.
Well, you know, like she was going, because we have had a couple of legislators on, and we had Sheriff Cousins on, and you know, he went on into great detail about the huge percentage of people in jail who
Yes.
are addicts or
Very much so.
are there based on that. And and obviously we've been doing a lot of research also, and yeah, like Colleen was saying, they're in jail, they're in there for 6 months, 8 months, a year, whatever. They don't really get much treatment. They come out, and when you start reading about these people who OD and die, it's usually those who came out and, after a week, they don't have all that structure that they had in jail. I mean, one of the things we've been, hopefully with the legislative's help, is to try to get them, instead of jail to the street, jail to the treatment. I'm going to take a wild guess. You must have some thoughts on that.
Oh, yes, yes, of course. Again, part of my job is trying to convince the prosecutor and the judge that this is an addict.
And this isn't
That-
just for drug court either.
It's just in general,
Yeah.
the usual cases that come through. You're trying to convince them this is an addict. We're not doing anything for them, putting them in jail. This is a waste of the taxpayers' money. I am very fortunate that I work for the Committee of Public Counsel Services. This is a committee. It's funded by the state. We provide indigent defense. We're what people know as public defenders. We have an infrastructure and assistance, like Nicole was saying. We have 2 social services advocates, and they're social workers. Julie Nason, who's a licensed mental health counselor. Now, I am fortunate enough that when I run into a client, I know they're an addict. I can tell. Sometimes they're very forthcoming. I need help. I call my social services advocate, and we can start working on
Right.
straightening out, insurance, getting a detox, getting him, and I can. It's a very powerful tool that I have available. I can go to a judge, and we've developed a good reputation in front of the judges. They know that when we say we're going to do this, we do it. I've had judges release addicts to our social worker to be taken to
I
a
was one of
program.
those.
Yeah. Nicole was one. I've had others, and these people, it's been successful. They trust us. We do
Right.
have that, but it's absolutely infuriating when they basically just, no, we're holding you.
Right.
Go in there, and then you run into the big rock and a hard place. There's no residential.
Right.
It takes months to get a residential.
Yeah, yeah.
There's not enough detox. There's no beds. So the basic problem lies in that availability. Because I know on our part we can do a lot. I think the other thing is that other attorneys who, practice criminal defense that are not with my agency, they need to have those resources. They need to have a piece of paper. They need to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody
Right.
and say, hey, can you pick up and run with this? It's not a lot, but
No.
getting legislation and getting people to do it seems
Yeah.
like so
And I mean,
difficult.
I know that just recently they did pass some legislation. We have a couple of Diana DeZoglio and Katie Ives, who have been very supportive and very
Instrumental.
involved
Yeah.
in all of this. I just gotta get to, I always do this I run a support group for the families of addicts, okay? And there was something you said when you first came on here, and you said you represent the client, whether they want to do right or do wrong. When that happens, do you know how mad you get some of us
Oh,
parents?
yeah.
Yes, I do.
I don't want to make you the bad guy, because I know it's your job, but I got to tell you, we've had many instances
It is
where the lawyer,
Right, yeah.
it looks like the guy is this close. They're almost hoping he's going to jail. A lot of parents prefer jail to being out in the street, because in jail at least they're alive.
Right.
So I mean, have you had any interaction with parents who?
Yes, I've had quite a lot. Yes, I represent the client, and yes, even if they're making bad choices, this is what I have to do. You're familiar with, you can bring the horse to the water, but you can't
Yes.
make him drink. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the situation with my clients. Now, I will call family. I'll call a mom. Today I called a mom and I said, this is where your son is. This is what's going on. She was crying, and I said, look, I'm really sorry. this is happening. I can tell you this, this, and this, and this. And when they call me, I say, you know, your son wants this. I'm really, really sorry. This is my job, and this is what I have to do. I understand you very well. I'm a mother myself. I mean, I can't imagine the pain I'm going through. You know, you may want to, I can't tell them what to do.
Right.
You know, I am bound by certain ethics.
Exactly.
But I can suggest.
Right.
You know, I can say, well, I know there's family support over there. Why don't you go talk to them? You know, it's my way of saying, look, I want to help you. I can't help you, but they can.
Yeah, and see,
And usually parents like me.
yeah, well, like I say, because, you know, you being a lawyer for the client, but you also happen to have a connection with, but there's a lot of lawyers out there that they go in and, you know,
They do.
it's tunnel
So
vision.
you must have dealt with that. I'm sure you've had to deal with other
In the
lawyers. Like, what's the
past,
difference in
you
this
know,
situation?
I'll be honest with you. My opinion, as far as that's concerned, is, you know, with addiction, I think it's actually getting better now with the lawyers, you know, the defense attorneys. But in the past, I've felt like I've just been swept under the rug, you know.
Do you think that's because the media, like the problem is a little bit more?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's just, you know, they've seen so many addicts that where they just, you know, kind of sweep them under the rug. And like, honestly, I've never had anybody work so hard for me. You know, I know a part of it, like she said, a huge part of it, like the foundation of this is like, I'm working really hard to stay clean, and it has not been an easy ride, you know. I think that there are some changes as far as the defense attorneys are going now because, you know, heroin addiction in particular has become an epidemic. But there's one thing I wanted to say as well, like, you know, as far as Kerry is concerned, how she has to defend the client, like drug court is a diversionary program. So for me, what that means is, you know, I've been given a chance not to be incarcerated.
Right.
Okay.
So like, you know, that was a gift. And, you know, oftentimes in the beginning you walk in and you're angry at the world and you don't want to do it and you think they're out to get you. And I experienced that as well. But the difficult piece here is that it's a diversionary program, you know, and to avoid like recidivism, you know, things like that. So criminal justice has to come, you know, with the recovery piece of it.
Yep.
And that's where Kerry comes in, you know, regardless of what the client, you know, what's best for the client. And that's what they do in the team meetings. Like, I definitely know that. You know, they throw some things out there and they try to figure out, like, what is the best road to go with the client.
Right.
And,
So you were in treatment at the beginning of your recovery this time?
And I'll be honest with you, you know, I went to a program. Had I not gone to that residential treatment program, and I've been to many in the past, so my mind tells me I don't have to go, you know, I know what to do. But, you know, each time it's like starting over,
Yeah.
like, you know, it really is. And had I not gone there, I don't think that I would have stayed clean.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth.
Well, tell me something now. You and I go back quite a few years,
Right.
all right? And I know you've had your ups and downs. Is there something about this time in recovery that seems different, that gives you a little more confidence?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, each time, like, there's something different. You know, as far as like when I looking back on times that I've been clean and whatnot. I don't like to say this because everyone's like, oh, each time, no, something's different, and it makes me nervous. But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, in my recovery, like I've gotten through some really tough stuff, like, you know, in terms of doing what I need to do for drug court requirements, you know, bottom line. And full of fear, anger, you name it, man, you name it. I have a tendency to like open my mouth and stuff like that. And then,
Really? I never noticed.
so Carrie, you know, before I go up, I'd be like, you speak because I can't do it. You know, and it worked out well, and she understands that. But yeah, I think so, because like in the past, I have used over far less. I have given up over far less. And, you know, some days like it was like white knuckling it, really. But yeah, like, I mean, I feel like I'm getting through some stuff, and things keep coming up that are difficult, and somehow, man, I'm getting through them. And, you know, the program piece, that didn't work out exactly the way it was supposed to, but I did get a lot out of it, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah.
I was there for about 4 months. And
Well, you know, what you just said, because I know, like I said, we have a lot of family members who go into a program and they relapse, go into a program.
Right.
And one of the things I always tell them also is, you know, you know, they had this clean time. Just because they relapsed doesn't mean they forgot everything they learned. I mean, you know, once the cobwebs leave, you know, that what you learned is still in there.
Yeah.
I think I'm not obviously a treatment provider, I'm an attorney, but I'm familiar with this. I think Nicole's lesson, and I was really rooting for her as we went through this whole white knuckle period. I think the lesson was, you know, if you hang in there, you're gonna get through it. And it's not the end of the world. Tomorrow's another day. And I'm like, hang in there, hang in there.
Yeah.
And she did. And we won.
Well, you know, we're talking about the relationship that you and her have now, and obviously more than just client-lawyer, you know, I mean, you can see that. But it must be kind of refreshing, because I'm sure you've had people coming into drug court that didn't have the attitude that she had coming in. You know, you had the ones that, you know, were gonna phony it up and play the game and so forth. So, I mean, obviously, you've probably been through this long enough to know the real deal from the phony. So it must be kind of refreshing to have someone come in and say, yeah, I really want to do this, and they can take advantage of what you have to offer.
Yeah, you over time you learn to distinguish between the different types, and I think this is something a lot of people forget. They make this big clump, addicts. Okay, no, each one is a human being.
Right.
Each one has a different story. Each one has a different level of education. Each one has a different cultural background. Nicole is very, very different from other clients I have that say are originally from Lawrence, of a Dominican background. And that's really natural.
Yeah.
You know, it has nothing, it's not a judgment, it's just natural. They come from a Dominican background, Nicole comes from Methuen background or more of an American background. There's so much that factors in, and people forget that addicts are human beings.
Yes, they do.
They're individuals. They're not just this big old clump of people that like to do drugs, and if we throw them all into recovery, we're gonna be okay. Not so, you know.
Well, and you're right. Now, you know, Colleen said it earlier. That's why this show is so important. Those of us who have been affected, either as an addict or the family member of an addict or someone who works in the addiction, know all of this. The ones we're trying to reach are those who haven't been affected, who, you know, don't have very nice things to say about people, you know, who think addicts are of the lowest level that you can get. And, you know.
Well, that's just judgment and ignorance and denial, you know, because I think just about everybody in the world is affected by addiction some way, shape, or form. So like this show just like opens people's eyes so they can see that it's like this big thing, and like and for all the people that you've worked with, and even like with Nikki, like if you're able to make a difference in one person's life, in her life, and she stuck it out and she stayed, it has like this ripple effect, because she's, you know, one of my very good friends, and she's been around, you know, for a while now, and she's helped me get through like these past like months in my recovery. So you helping her, she's helped me, I'm able to help my spot, and that's like how it goes. So, you know, addiction is very like overwhelming. It seems like just, you know, lots of people are dying and there's just so much judgment and that's not, but we are like making a huge difference. Like that's how I see it, because people are aware of it. They have no choice but to be aware of it. So the more that like we like stick together against like this big, you know, like monster of a disease, like it's not just a little impact we're making, it's a huge one. By helping one person, it just helps like everybody else like down the line. So that's the hope that I get from what you're doing.
I have to interrupt you. Believe it or not, we've got like 3 minutes left.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I told you this was going to happen. It happens every show. I mean, if you know, if you want to take 30 seconds or 40 seconds just to give a little closing statement, where you two are and where you're heading.
All right. I just want to say quickly is, you know what, my family's been affected by addiction, like something awful. My little sister died 6 days out of jail because she left jail and she didn't get treatment. As far as I'm concerned, like I am an addict. I love my life clean. You know, I just, I've had a lot of interruptions as far as learning how to cope with life skills and emotions and feelings and whatnot. So I'm kind of like, you know, new at that. So, I mean, bottom line is like stay clean every day.
Do you know what that means?
peace.
No, it means I got 2 minutes. And you don't know the meaning of
I'm
minutes.
staying clean every day, and like, you know, having Carrie as my attorney and having her work for me has been like incredible.
Well, I can see the difference. Like I say, I've seen your bet. And Carrie, it must be kind of enjoyable to have someone like this to deal with anyway.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I'm very excited. I wish my dreams and hopes is to see her driving a Mercedes-Benz and living in Andover.
Sounds good.
Yeah, good. Then you
My
can you can drive her to a meeting.
There we go.
My biggest wish is happiness
Yes,
for Nicole.
I agree.
Happiness. Complete, unabated joy in life. And like I said, she's kind of my crazy friend now.
Yeah, she's everybody's crazy friend.
Aren't we all?
I like her very much.
Yeah.
And I work for her because she is the foundation of her own work.
That's awesome.
I will be out there every day. I will be out there every day working for addicts, whether
Right.
they like it or not. I think there's more knowledge about it. I hope it's not a fad that just goes by.
I hope not.
And it crosses all socioeconomic lines.
Oh, it does.
And I'm more concerned about rich kids because their parents have so many drugs in their medicine cabinets. And I really, really wish people would do something about that and stop the prescribing.
That's a topic for another show.
Yes, but I do wish joy to everybody in recovery. And my heart is with them. My heart is with Nicole. And there's going to be a public defender out there like me who's going to fight for them in court.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Quick wrap up.
I don't know. I love doing the show. I get something out of it every time. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Carrie.
you.
And I don't know. Keep watching. It's the best show ever.
Okay, and again, thank you for joining us tonight. Kind of had some fun tonight. Quick show, it always is. Join us next month. We don't know who we're going to have yet, but I'm sure you'll enjoy whoever it is. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.